The sound, yeah, you could tell I took it as a diss, but
It started with a song. Just a few lines, dropped into the internet like nothing. But those lines didn't stay small. They spread, they echoed. And before anyone could slow it down, they turned into something much bigger than music. Because this wasn't just a track. It was a message. And once it reached the world, there was no taking it back. In early 2021, a rising artist from Memphis stepped into the spotlight in a way no one expected. He wasn't just making music, he was telling a story. A story rooted in real life, real tension, in a city where history and hardship exist side by side.
The reason what made me respond is because it was just false.
Memphis had always been a place of contrasts. On one side, culture, music, legacy. On the other, struggle, pressure, and survival. And for artists coming out of that environment, music wasn't just entertainment. It was expression. It was identity. It was truth. This artist grew up surrounded by that reality. From a young age, he saw things most people never have to see. He experienced loss early, faced challenges that forced him to grow up fast. And over time, that environment shaped him. It made him sharper, more focused, more determined to be heard. Music became his outlet. At first, it was just local attention. A few songs, a growing buzz, people starting to notice. But then something changed. One release, one moment, and suddenly everything accelerated. Streams started climbing. Fans started multiplying. Industry names started paying attention. And just like that, he wasn't local anymore. He was next. The kind of next that comes with pressure. Because when the spotlight hits you that fast, it doesn't just show your talent. It shows everything. And that's when the tension began to surface. Not publicly at first. Not in headlines. But quietly, in the background. There were already issues. Already history. Already friction between different groups in the same city.
It just was a whole bunch of make-believe and exaggerated
things that had nothing to do with fame, but everything to do with real life. And when music entered that space, it amplified everything. Then came the turning point. A track dropped that would change everything. The energy was different. The tone was direct. Listeners could feel it immediately. This wasn't just music for charts. It felt personal. The song exploded. Millions of views, massive attention. Everywhere you looked, people were talking about it. But while the world saw a hit record, others saw something else. A message. A challenge. And that's when the response came. Another track. Same energy, same intensity. But from the other side. Now the situation wasn't quiet anymore. It was public. Fans started picking sides. Some supported the original artist. Others backed the response. Social media turned into a battlefield of opinions. Comments, reactions, debates. Everyone had something to say. And the more attention it got, the bigger it became. Media outlets started covering it. Blogs started breaking it down. Suddenly, what started as music was being treated like a full story. Because people could feel that this wasn't just entertainment. There was something deeper behind it. Something real. And that's what made it so captivating. But with that level of attention, comes pressure. And pressure changes everything. For the artist at the center of it all, success was still rising. Numbers were going up. Opportunities were growing. But at the same time, the situation around him was getting more complicated. Because when personal issues become public, they don't stay controlled. They grow. They evolve. And sometimes, they spiral. Moments started happening that shifted the narrative. Not all at once, but gradually. The story became less about music, and more about everything surrounding it. Fans started asking questions. Media started digging deeper. And the spotlight became heavier. Because now, it wasn't just about talent. It was about reputation. And in the entertainment world, reputation can change everything. For a while it seemed like he could balance both. The success, the pressure, the attention. But then reality stepped in. Legal issues began to surface. Situations that couldn't be ignored. And suddenly, everything slowed down. The same industry that was pushing him forward had to step back. The same fans who were celebrating him started wondering what would happen next. Because this wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a turning point. And turning points don't just affect the present. They shape the future. His career, once moving at full speed, hit a pause. Not because the talent disappeared. Not because the fans vanished. But because circumstances changed. And when that happens, everything shifts. Meanwhile, the other side of the story was still unfolding. More music, more responses, more attention. But the tone had changed. What once felt like competition now felt heavier, more serious, more real. And people watching from the outside started to realize something important. This wasn't just about two artists. It was about the environment they came from, the pressure they carried, the reality behind the music. Because sometimes, the biggest stories in music aren't about success. They're about survival. And this was one of those stories. Behind every headline, there were real consequences. Not just for the artist, but for the people around them. Families, friends, communities. The kind of impact that doesn't show up in views or streams. And that's the part most people don't see. The part that doesn't go viral. Because while the internet watches the highlights, real life keeps moving. And real life has real outcomes. As time passed, the situation evolved. Some stepped back. Some moved differently. Some faced consequences that changed everything. And the story that once felt like a fast-moving moment became something much deeper. A reminder of how fast things can rise and how quickly they can shift. Because in the end, this wasn't just about one song or one response. It was about what happens when real life and entertainment collide. When personal history meets public attention. When success comes faster than stability. And maybe that's the lesson in all of this. Because the world will always watch the rise, the fame, the numbers, the spotlight. But it doesn't always understand the pressure that comes with it. And sometimes, that pressure is the real story. Not the music, not the headlines, but everything happening behind the scenes. Because behind every viral moment, there's a reality most people never fully see. And by the time they do, the story has already changed.